Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. Tower Talk Business Radio brings you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation, including expert consultants and small business owners who have found success, but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their first-hand experience. And now, let's get down to business with Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation.
Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of NEFQ Business Services, along with Denisha Boston-Hill, the CEO of Keeper of the Brand Marketing and Digital Agency. And we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship.
Good afternoon. Ray and I bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that grow your business. Plus, we interview top business leaders in the industry. So, Ray, let's talk success this week.
Okay.
We live in a digital world, and successful people and brands are making a lot of mistakes. Oh, my goodness. They can't press delete on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram fast enough. The old saying, it takes a time to build a reputation and only a few seconds to destroy one is even more prevalent now than ever. I'm seeing people make constant mistakes. A brand's reputation is their key to success and revenue. So what are your thoughts on brands protecting their reputation and their cash flow?
Well, yeah, that's one thing. I mean, if the reputation is damaged, the cash flow will certainly be damaged. For me, I firmly believe that perception is the reality. So, you know, if you're known as being an organization that's helpful, that's user-friendly, if you're known as an organization that's there for the community, you know, that becomes a reality. And in Long Island, it's a small world in the business world. So, you know, people talk. So the thing is, if people are saying the things that you want them to say, if they're saying your tagline, if they're saying the message that you want to say, then that makes it a reality.
Interesting.
Yeah, very thought-provoking this today. Now, helping provide you with business empowerment today is our guest, Katherine Heaviside, president of Epoch 5 Public Relations. Now, Epoch 5 is the region's premier full-service communications firm. Epoch 5 delivers high-powered visibility and credibility for their clients. They also help clients manage sensitive issues and crises that could damage their business. Epoch 5 is an award-winning firm recognized for excellence in the PR community and the best PR campaign. And Katherine has served on the boards of several businesses, educational and humanitarian organizations. A member of the top 50 women in business, she has been featured in national magazines, daily newspapers, major daily newspapers, and appeared on national television and radio. Katherine, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And welcome.
Now, all right, so to start, I have a question. So Epoch 5, what is the 5 in Epoch 5?
Well, let's look at it this way. We tell our clients after they've been with us for 5 years.
Now that's
so we're not prepared to divulge it. It's highly confidential.
All right. Well, I'll have to check my sources. Check WikiLeaks on that one. All right.
Repeat business.
Now, tell us a little bit about some of the work that you do in PR.
All right, we do. Our agency has different practice areas, which means we handle different kinds, whether it's professional service clients, financial, healthcare. We handle a number of businesses to build their reputation. We also handle businesses to protect their reputation when it is being under attack. And that could be anything from a labor strike to corporate malfeasance on the part of management, to a fire. There are so many things, and as you've said, a reputation can be gone in a flash, and people spend decades building it.
So they call you the fixer.
Well, they call us, and it's not just me. We have a team of people who do crisis management. They call us, and our best work are the things that never appear in the paper.
So proactive as well as reactive.
Well, we'd like, clients to call us, and I think that's the biggest mistake small businesses and large businesses make. It's human nature. You don't want to talk about negative or think about the negative things that could happen to your business. But in fact, unless you plan, you'll be unprepared. And you really should think of it as a crisis plan is your insurance policy.
Right.
And it's a roadmap. When a crisis hits, when something bad happens, you'll know what to do, when to do it, and who in your organization can do it. So for some clients, we actually are called in for crisis plans. And then I remember that one time were called in by Brookhaven National Labs. And we spent a couple of months doing a very extensive crisis plan. We just about got finished, and they discovered they had a tritium leak under the plant. So
wow.
That was many years ago. But we did have in place a plan so that they could do the best they could with what could have been a horrendous situation.
And things happen to businesses just like they happen to us in our daily lives. So I guess planning for that is key. Now, what are some things that a company should consider when they're hiring a PR or marketing firm?
Well, first of all, they should consider experience, and they should consider who is working there that can handle their account. We are very careful. We match the account manager to the client, but we also have people who specialize, for example, in electronic media, social media, so that the account manager can turn to them to help with additional positive publicity or even protecting them from negative.
Now, are most of your clients based in Long Island, or are they New York City-wide or New York State-wide?
We're tri-state are most of our clients. We do have some clients that are out of state and some clients that are national. And those clients, these days you can handle clients that are selling in California or Dubai or Canada as easily as you can right here locally.
No, that's
but
right.
Mostly clients want someone that they can call in, sit down across a table with, a conference table, and discuss their issues. So even though we may be dealing with clients that are sending things out of state, they really want to spend time with you to strategize, because that's a very important thing. You need to have a strategy on what they need to accomplish.
Excellent. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guest today is Katherine Heaviside, president of Epoch 5 Public Relations.
So there's a lot of scandal out there, Katherine. Without naming names, or feel free to share, but what are some common mistakes that owners face when dealing with a public relations challenge? Is it just bad press, product recall? What is in your experience, what is the most common mistake you see people make?
It isn't a mistake. I mean, things do happen that they have no control over. Labor strikes, having a rogue employee that does something, posts something on social media that reflects poorly on the company, an employee who gets arrested for. We had in one firm that the employee got arrested for essentially deceiving the people he was selling to. Well, that reflects on the company, even though the company didn't know about it.
Right. And I've been there and probably lost some hair throughout the years over rogue employees opening the mic, saying the wrong thing on the radio. So I get it. Do you find the general public is more trusting or less trusting when you're dealing with a crisis situation if you or the communications manager represents them in the press or in the media, or do they want to hear from the CEO of the company?
Well, they may want to hear from the CEO, but frankly, if they can get an answer that's complete, honest, they will. Sometimes we have to, because when a crisis is hitting, the CEO is doing a lot of things. He's meeting, or she is meeting, with attorneys, their bank, their credit union, whatever there are a lot of moving parts to a crisis. So the communications people very often step in, handle the messaging. The CEO approves it, and he or she puts their name on it, and we release it to the media. The CEO may not be the person who's actually speaking on mic. In fact, very often he or she isn't, because, as you know, people in the media can be very aggressive and rattle someone who's already under stress.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now,
We
let's
do
talk
media training, by the way.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, and that may come into our next question, which my question's more around the reputation. So we talked a little bit about that in the beginning of the show, reputation management. So what are some of the things that you do with a company to help them build their reputation?
Well, some of the things that builds a company's reputation really has to do with them doing good work,
Okay.
whether it's doing good work both in their field, but also if they can do things outside their field. Now, we worked with Bethpage Federal Credit Union for probably 16 years. They're very philanthropic, so we make sure that they get attention. We just finished up the air show at Jones Beach, and we make sure that it gets a lot of positive coverage because, as we say, when you get positive coverage, when a crisis hits, people are more likely to forgive a company where they have some positive feelings about them already established. If they don't know about you, the first thing that happens, a crisis hits, they are really, they're all over you with negatives.
Yes, they are.
And then you're branded for life.
Yes, it's very hard to dig out of a hole. Yes,
Sure.
Thanks, Ray.
And actually, that kind of leads into my next question. So some of the things that you would do for a company that, let's say, is in that unfortunate circumstance that could happen to any one of us.
Are you talking about who have not done positive?
Companies that, I guess, yeah, if it's a company that's done something positive, we know the answer there. It's that, hopefully that's enough to help them weather the storm. I'm thinking more along the lines of if it's a company that's not as well known. I mean, what are some of the things that they might be able to do to help manage that crisis?
Well, first of all, what we do with a crisis is we really anticipate first of all, we have to listen. Mm-hmm. We have to find out exactly what went on here. We also have to work with their attorney usually because we want to make sure that if there's a possibility of a lawsuit, we don't do anything that could make that lawsuit more difficult for them. So we work with the attorneys, and we develop pretty much a statement for the media. Then we develop a strong background sheet of the company so that people will get to know it in a much more conversational way.
Okay.
And we develop the toughest questions that could be asked and how we might answer them. And we work with the very often there's an internal public relations department, and those people are generally do very good work, but they may not have the crisis experience. I mean, I've had over 30 years of being on the front lines, everything from 60 Minutes, to
Wow.
all of the major TV stations, investigative reporters. So I'm quite familiar with how much you can push the line and what you have to do to make sure that you don't throw your client under the bus, as they say.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Katherine Heaviside, president of Epoch 5 Public Relations. My name is Danisha Boston Hill, along with my co-host Ray Schwetz on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I'm 19 years old, and this is how I live united. I've always been kind of a computer geek, and I found a way to use those skills to help the homeless in my community. For people facing hard times, computer skills and a basic resume are so important. It may seem like a small thing, but it makes a huge difference in people's lives. So with United Way, I created a program where I work with the homeless. Together, we go through their whole job history, write a resume, and then save it on their very own USB drive. We provide workbooks and training certificates. I even budgeted for cupcakes so we can celebrate as a class when one of our people gets a job. That's huge. When somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." That's what Living United feels like to me. My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Danisha Boston Hill, along with Ray Schwetz, and our guest today is Katherine Heaviside, president of Epoch 5 Public Relations. Thank you, Katherine, for being here with us.
Thank you, Danisha and Ray.
We're so happy to have you. So, a question that's been jumping out at me is really to get your insight on at what point should a small business or medium-sized business start developing their blueprint for a crisis management plan? Should they start from day one, or is it year 5?
Well, I don't think there's a date, but as soon as you determine that you have something to lose, and in some cases it's your business, in some cases it could be your house, if you're not careful about the potential of crisis. So I think you should always think about and train yourself to assess, what kinds of things could be damaging to my business. And you don't have to, in a small business, you don't have to spend a lot, but you do have to address it. And it would be good to get someone else in just to look at what you have as a plan.
I know that's the burning question for a lot of our listeners, what do you spend on PR and crisis management? I always say the best media is earned media, and that's what public relations is all about. So I'm sure some people will be calling you to get your insight.
Well, we're very careful. I mean, we want clients that we can do good work for. And we don't want to take a client if we can't make them succeed. So we're really cautious, and we do say for some clients, we say, we're either not the right agency for you, and we're more than happy to recommend other agencies that are a better fit, or we say, I think that public relations may not be right for you. It may be better to go straight to advertising or to social media or to direct mail.
Now, you have a great team at Epoch 5. What qualities or traits do you look for in employees?
Well, first of all, we hire the best people. And I've been fortunate because I've been able to hire a lot of people right out of New York City agencies who want to live and work on Long Island. They like to not be on the Long Island Railroad, actually. So
it's nice to have that quality me time, but sometimes you get a little too much.
But I look for highly intelligent, ethical, very hardworking people, high energy, who are strategic thinkers. I want everyone I bring on board has to be better than me in some way.
Now, what do you do when you have that those employees that are desirable employees? What do you do to inspire loyalty and creativity in them?
Well, I think that first of all, inspiring loyalty is treating them the way you would like to be treated, respecting them, and letting them know that you appreciate them. And I have employees that have been with me nearly 30 years. And wow. I'd say most of our employees are with me over 15. So these are people who, it isn't just me, it's what they'd call the corporate culture. People like to do good work. And when they're with a firm and they can feel pride in the fact that not only do they do good work, but every member of the team is committed to doing the best for the client. And we're pretty passionate about it.
Fantastic.
Now, it sounds like you have a fantastic team, and teamwork is key to the success of every organization. But what keeps you up at night, Katherine? Is it a particular client? Is it a certain crisis?
Everything. I really care. I had worked for a firm in New York before I came out to Long Island. And I determined, and it was a firm that I don't think did the best things for its clients. And I was determined that I wanted to be sure that I could wake up every Monday morning and say, oh, I'm really excited to go to work because I know that I'm going to do a good job for them. And we fire clients. And I mean, I don't want to brag about it because it's not it's not something I look forward to. But if I have, I've had clients who have, for example, abused an account person verbally, and I've basically said to the account person, do you want to call them and tell them they're no longer a client, or would you like me to? Because a good person that works for you is more important than any client.
Agreed. Katherine, thank you very much. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guest today is Katherine Heaviside, president of Epoch 5 Public Relations.
Now, Katherine, being a small business owner, moving from corporate America, now having a business in Long Island, what advice would you give someone like myself who is trying to break into the marketing industry in Long Island? And what advice would you give to me and some of our listeners out there?
Well, I think you're doing it perfectly. You're certainly getting a lot of visibility or attention doing something like this show. What I would say for anybody breaking into a new business, do things well, concentrate on doing them well, and make sure that you perform for your clients and ask them to refer you. You'd be surprised. Sometimes a client will think you're doing such wonderful work, but it won't occur to them to tell their next door neighbor. So just ask them and say, I'm looking for new business. Can you recommend some potential clients for me? And I'm sure they will.
Oh, great.
The ask is extremely important. What pitfalls would you avoid in the case of a new business, or what are some of the pitfalls that you've had to avoid in the business that you're in?
Pitfalls. I think the things that you should avoid are dealing with people where somehow you have an internal nagging feeling that something isn't quite right. And frankly, it usually isn't.
Right.
So if you're dealing with somebody who you're not really comfortable with, walk away.
Go with the gut.
Go with the gut. Yep.
I think that's great advice.
No, that's fantastic advice.
Now,
The worst clients you can get or customers you can get are ones that will give you a tremendous amount of trouble.
I'm learning the hard way. I'm taking notes.
now it's with social media and with this transparency that we have, with all the technology that we have, obviously that right now is the big thing that a lot of companies are very concerned with. Not only visibility out in the marketplace, but virtual visibility, I'll call it, for lack of a better word. What are some of the next things that you're looking at that companies should be considering when it comes to PR?
Well, I think that we're just going to see an increasing upward curve of all the things that are here right now. The technology, the social media, the fact that we have a 24-hour-a-day news cycle. We have more lawyers and therefore more lawsuits, and we have a more critical public. So those things all really impact how you have to run your business. And your reputation and building and maintaining a reputation is a 24-hour-a-day job. You don't have to do it all. If you hire the right people, the right agency, that will take the burden off your shoulders. Yes.
Well, yeah, you want to focus on your business.
Yeah.
And continuing to do the right thing in your business will, of course, be proactive towards reputation.
Yeah.
But-
And one of the things we find is it isn't just about doing publicity, positive publicity, or stopping negative publicity. We act really as a counselor to our clients. And it may have to do with a business decision they're making. You know, whether they're planning to do something that will create employee unrest or a customer dissatisfaction. Sometimes you're too close to your business and you don't even see those things that could be a real negative. Or you might miss something that could be a real positive.
So to
That's right.
be vigilant.
Be vigilant and also be creative. I think that we have come up with some things for clients where we say, I just learned yesterday a client that contributes a great deal to the Games for the Physically Challenged. And I said, well, do you do anything to promote the fact that you're doing this? You know, it's tens of thousands of dollars of their
Hard-earned.
business
Right,
time.
their budget,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, they hadn't, because they're so interested in making sure that they did the right thing. They weren't concentrating on taking credit. And I always say that, look, organizations, the not-for-profits that are so important on Long Island, they want you to publicize what you've done for them because that will encourage other businesses to do the same. So don't feel that you have to be modest, so modest that you're not going to do anything and promote it.
That's a big key differentiator for Epic 5, I would say,
Now,
and your clients.
if you had to, what words would you give to a business owner who's listening now? Our listeners, what would be some of the key takeaways you'd want them to come away from with the conversation with you today?
Building a business is hard, but it should be enjoyable. And in my area of getting visibility, I think it can be a real asset to a business to have higher visibility. I know that every time I'm on television or get an award, or we have we nominate our clients for awards, every time they win an award, business comes their way because people will notice them, they will be recognized for doing good things, and that's very important.
Excellent.
Thank
Katherine, thank you so much. We'd like to thank our guest today, Katherine Heaviside, president of Epoch 5, and we will find out what that 5 means.
Well, thank you, Ray. Thank you, Denisha. This has been a pleasure.
Oh, great. Well, we're glad to have you.
I'd like to leave you with one final thought. If you don't tell your story, someone else will. Plan accordingly.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, your co-host and producer. The creative director of Tower Talk Business Radio is Rudy Breedy. This is a NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been a Tower Talk Business Radio powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk with you next week.